just got back from my very first comic book show ever. Find out how it went. Hey YouTube, it's Matt here, and like I said, this was my very first comic book show. Now, I've actually had a lot of people write to me, and they ask me questions as if I am an expert about comic books and comic book collecting. Guys, here's the truth. I am learning my way through this hobby. I'm loving the journey. I've been collecting a long time, but I'm relatively new to a lot of the experiences that come with comic book collecting. I've talked to you guys in the past. My comic book collecting for years, guys, was I would buy comic books. I would read, I read everything, but I would read them, I would put them away, and I just was a hoarder, and it was a very private affair for me. Honestly, most of my coworkers, most of my family had no clue that I collected comic books, or if they ever heard me say anything, they just didn't realize how much I did collect comic books. While it may come to a little surprise to some people, it shouldn't be. Like, I've just never been to a comic book show, but I went to my very first one. It was the Near Mint Expo in Providence, Rhode Island. Now guys, this was a 9-hour drive. My wife and I, we got off of work on Friday afternoon. We drove the evening and we got there in Rhode Island. We spent a night in a hotel room because we were excited to go here because there were two big attractions. Number one was I got to meet Joe from AnaChronic Comics in person. Now, Joe and I have been following each other on Instagram. We've been watching each other's YouTube channels. Joe has invited me onto his channel in the past. We have a great history going on, a great friendship, but we just never met in person. You know, Joe lives a different state than I do, just never got a chance. But the reason that my wife and I went to this one, Joe reached out to me one night, and he told me about a Roy Thomas signing. Roy Thomas was going to be at the Near Mint Expo. He was going to be signing books, but the biggest attraction was there was going to be a VIP dinner with Roy Thomas after the show. Well, I thought to myself, I was like, 9-hour drive, that's a long drive, but it's doable. Absolutely. I've never met Roy Thomas. You guys know I'm a Conan fan, but Roy is known for so much more than just Conan. In fact, I think most of the comic book community knows him for other things. You know, he is the creator of such characters, partially, sometimes full of Wolverine, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Morbius, Ultron, Man-Thing, if you will, Ghost Rider, Red Sonja. So many characters Roy Thomas can pretty much take credit for. He's an icon in history. Me, he's a Conan guy. You know, he's the guy who brought Conan, from the pulp literary magazines of the 30s into the comic book age. Love that fact. Well, anyhow, that's what drove me there. Now, Joe reached out to me one night, and I want to set the record straight because Joe thinks it took me weeks. No, it didn't, Joe. He told me about it one day. It was a Saturday evening that Joe told me about this show. I talked about it with my wife. We thought about it. Her and I wanted to go. That Sunday, I was ordering tickets. So it took me probably about a half an hour to figure out I wanted to go, but it just took me another day to go ahead and order the tickets. So there you go, Joe. It didn't take me months. You had me stoked right away about this. That's just me joking with Joe. So you guys, there's a lot that happened in this show, and I'm going to talk about Joe, and you guys are going to need to see his video on his YouTube channel. Listen, guys, AnaChronic Comics is going to put out a awesome video of him talking about some of his personal history with Roy Thomas himself. Guys, it's such an amazing interview that I was able to film. And I'm going to be honest with you. Guys, I've met two other creators that you guys know. I have put a little short video on my channel. Guys, I was filming for AnaChronic Comics, and by the time he was done talking to Roy Thomas, guys, I just didn't even want to film. There was nothing I could film that was going to top what Joe did. So, guys, go over, watch his channel, sub him up. But here's how the show started for me. My wife and I got there a little bit earlier than we wanted to. We were sitting in a parking lot waiting for the show to open, and I am seeing on my Instagram feed, I'm seeing a Instagram live done by the Three Men in a Basement. Now, they were in this show. I got to meet those guys. Wonderful. Now, I found out they also got to do about a half-hour interview with Roy Thomas before the show had even started. They were set up in a hotel lobby and they got to interview him. Guys, they're going to be also dropping a interview of Roy Thomas on their channel. So, guys, check out Roger and Otto and the Three Men in a Basement. You know, such a great place. And speaking of them, you know, Roger gave me his, quote, new business card, okay? It is a poker chip, and this is pretty cool. Roger gave me one of these. Well, whenever I was unpacking today, after coming back from the show, I found another one. I have two of these. Now, there's only one way that I have two of these. I stole one from somebody, obviously by accident. I don't know who I did that, but if anyone was at that show and they're missing one of these, reach out to me, because I probably accidentally picked one up thinking it was the one that I had, and I probably just put it in my pocket and walked away with it. So I do apologize about that, but guys, this is the coolest thing ever. Definitely going to have to take pictures of this, show this. But, so I also, at this show, I got to meet Dave from Marc Spector Comics. He was there at the show. Now, I found out through Instagram earlier that morning that he was going to be there. But, so this show was amazing. We were able to get in early to the show, and so we were able to get it. My wife and Joe from AnaChronic Comics, we were able to get in line for the signing that Roy Thomas was doing. We were able to get in there a little bit early. Joe had a book signed. I had a book signed. If you guys have seen my video, you know that I got Savage Tales #1 signed. Now, I'm not going to bash CGC by any means. Love CGC. If I have a book slabbed, even though most of my books are raw and they're not slabbed, but if I have a book slabbed, it's usually done by CGC. So I'm not bashing them, but their wait time for magazines is unbelievable. It's well over 100 days for a press of a magazine, and I sent that Savage Tales #1 to be pressed after it was signed by Roy Thomas. Also, it's over 100 days for the grading of that book. Guys, I'm not going to get that book until 2023, maybe 2024. It's going to be a long time, but I definitely won't be seeing that book in the year 2022, that's for sure, which I've had that book for quite a few years, so it's going to be a shame to not see it for, years from now. But that is what we did there. Now, that was the show, and I walked around, and I actually bought a couple books. I'm going to give a shout out to Instagrammer Solly2Kings, who also has a YouTube channel, Black Comic Characters, and Steve, who was on a Reggie Kleck show talking about a really dope character. So, when I was at the show, I ended up picking up a book that those guys had been talking about. And this is a book that I've known about for a while. But they made me excited to pick up Static. And this is Static #1. There's two covers. I have one that is slab 9.8. Remember I said most of my slabs are CGC? Well, this is one of them. And this is a raw copy of, the alternate cover of that same book. So, thanks, guys, for letting me know about that book, and I was able to get that. But that was a book that I bought at the show. After walking around the show, Joe and I were able to go out. We had a coffee, and we just were able to talk about comics and just pretty much anything in general. For, I think it was a few hours, we just got to chill out and hang out together, which was awesome. Later on that night, we went to a restaurant called the Black Sheep in Providence, Rhode Island. So we went there, and then we got to meet Roy Thomas. Now, this is where Joe was able to present some, like I said, some history that Joe and Roy Thomas had that goes back dating 1964 and 1965. Guys, please, please, please watch the video whenever AnaChronic Comics drops the interview that he did with Roy Thomas. You guys are going to love it. But we filmed that video, and then Roy was able to, he signed a print. Now, the print that he signed, I'm going to show it to you. It is right here. This has a lot of the characters that Roy Thomas had created, and you can see Roy right in the middle. What makes this real, I mean, it's cool to begin with, but what makes it especially cool, Roy Thomas drew this. Now guys, Roy Thomas is a fabulous writer, but he's not known for his drawing skills. He did an exceptional job. I mean, whenever I say he's not known, he obviously can draw, and he can obviously draw well, but that might be one of the little known secrets about Roy Thomas. He does have artistic ability with the drawing anyhow. He clearly is artistic with his writing. So he signed that, and he signed it personalized to everybody. But this print, this drawing, this was made exclusive to the Near Mint Expo. So this is a one-of-a-kind drawing. This is definitely going to be framed, and I'm starting to lose wall space here in the comic book room, but I got to find a spot for this, okay? This is excellent. Now, one other thing, they did a drawing at the show at the Black Sheep for the dinner of Roy Thomas, and they pulled a name. The name was Matt Woods, and Matt Woods got to win this really dope Red Sonja number 2, and look whose signature is on it. So guys, listen, you know I'm a giant Roy Thomas fan. Just to be able to talk to him, just to be able to say hi to him was a absolute treat. So going to my first comic book show was a blast. I mean, I got to meet great people. Like I said, I got to meet Joe, AnaChronic Comics, Dave from Marc Spector Comics, Roger and Otto from Three Men in a Basement. It was just a great time. My wife and I absolutely loved it. It is motivating me to want to go to more comic book shows in the future. Definitely a worthwhile experience. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed me telling you about my going to my first comic book show. But if you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up. If you like content of this channel, please subscribe and put comments down below. Guys, I want to thank everybody for watching, and you have a great day.